All right. So top of page 50, and on the English, it's on. Let's see, I was reading it from a copy last night. In the English, it is. Give me a moment. It is on 50 in the Hebrew, and on the English, it's in the English. Why can't I find it now? It's on page 64. Okay, 64 at the bottom. Let's just do a recap of what we had here. The Rambam. Right. Okay, so it's what I say, 64 on the English, and page 50 in the Hebrew, depending which one you're going to follow with as we go through this. This is the Pticha, this is the forward. And the forward, he's talking about the importance of two key values. One is Torah, and the other one is Eretz Yisrael, right? And where this is going to go is that both are actually important, and you have to keep both. And that'll lead to his whole thesis in general. And then he's going to write the last part of this forward is about he's writing to the pioneers in Israel. Now that you guys got Eretz Yisrael, you got to remember about the Torah part as well. All right, I know you really don't mean it, but you got to really get back to the Torah. So it's kind of like a funny piece. Now, what he said so far is the Torah is important because we not only it's a spiritual moment, but we were there. Right? We actually, and he's quoting the Rambam's letter to the community in Yemen to say that the importance of your being under attack and being people trying to force you to apostatize and to leave the faith and persecutions, you can only defeat this if you remember that it's not just about someone spoke to us like Moshe, but that we were actually all there at Sinai. Now obviously we weren't there. Who was there? Our ancestors were there, but that 600,000 people actually experienced the Sinai and heard the word of Hashem. So far he's quoted this, and he says this will help you against the two-pronged attack. One pronged attack is to kind of beat us down physically, to destroy us, and the other attack is the attack of those people like the Greeks who wanted to weaken us in our faith by trying to get us to assimilate. And he quoted a pasuk. The pasuk was Kol kli yotzer aleich lo yitzlech. All utensils. He means utensils of war will not be successful. V'chol lashon takum mitchal mishpat hashi. And any language who rises up against you for judgment will be knocked down. Zot nachlatam avdei Hashem v'tzidkatam eitinu Hashem. This is the inheritance, servants of God, and the righteousness that you get from Hashem. So either it's going to be a kli and a weapon of war, you won't be successful. The language that they will try to beguile us with their language to join them and leave our faith, they also won't be successful because you have the nachla, you have the inheritance that is given to us. And he brings this from the Igeret Teiman, and then right. Now, where's the piece I want to start from? Okay, what I say is page 51. It's page 50. So page 50 at the bottom in the Hebrew. After bringing down the Igeret Teiman, he says, I found there was an edition that was put out with the commentary of the words of the Noda Yehuda. I don't think we had done that as far as we got. And it was put out by his son. So this is bottom of page 50, and this is bottom of page number 64. Igeret Teiman shnitfas b'Prague aydei Rabbi Yisrael Landau. In the edition of the Igeret Teiman that I just quoted you, which was published in Prague by the son of Noda Yehuda, ben Rabbeinu Noda Yehuda, Rabbi Yisrael Landau, Noda Yehuda is Rabbi Yecheskel Landau. Matzati Hagab Achat B'Ger, and I found one commentary on the side. Mioji Karab and Pninim al Divrei Rambam Halalo. It was very beautiful, very, very, very significant, very rich, very precious on the words of the Rambam. And here's what he said: Amar Yisrael ben la'avi Adoni Hagon Mefursa Mori Novareno Harav Yecheskel Segel Landau Nero Nachrein Rachmanov Vishmareim. The Kadosh Baruch Hu should watch over him. This is who's writing it, the son of Noda Yehuda. Bero, he says as follows: Beroti divrei. Tell me if I'm going too quick. Beroti divrei Hanesher Agadol Hakotev. when I read the words of the great eagle. Who's the great eagle? The Rambam in his letter. Omarti lasot tapuchei zahav b'meshkiot kesef. I said I'm going to put something of golden apples in a setting of silver. It's a word that's taken out of Mishlei or Shir Hashirim, I don't recall. It's a Shir Hashirim. Mashamarti Adoni Avi Hazak Hagaon Neri B'chibur Dor Shion. When my father, the Noda Yehuda, wrote, and here's what he said: V'zeh Shano b'Yamtzad Rasha. So I'm quoting now something my father, the Noda Yehuda, said, which I think can apply to this, and it's going to go back to the same pasuk the Rambam wrote about.
So he said it on the Rambam.
So this is a commentary by the son of the Noda Yehuda, who's quoting his father, who's commenting on what the Rambam said. Okay, a little bit like this, but it's pretty good. So he writes as follows: this about experiencing and hearing God and being there together. So he says, Avram Avinu hisig me'atzmo. And if Avram was able to experience himself here seeing God, this was with the help of the Almighty. In other words, not everybody's like an Avraham. If you want to know about experiencing God, you're not necessarily going to experience God. But he started to give his heart to God. And God helped him going beyond his simple natural faculties. Once again, he's got some of these long excursions that we're not going to do. So I'm on top of page 65, I guess, going into page 65, going to 66 in the Hebrew, right? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay? And it's 51 in the Hebrew. Hebrew and 65, 66 in the English. And we it's enough for us that we receive this tradition generation after generation from 10,000, 600,000 people that saw the Torah and received the Torah. And they heard from the God Anochi and Lo Yeh Lecha and the Ten Commandments. And so for us it's enough that we don't have to begin to discover God ourselves, because we may not be able to do it. Only someone like an Avraham, who's on this kind of level, is going to be able to intellectually find out God and make it work for himself. But you and I don't have that ability. This is beyond our ken. And David HaMelech, Amar LeShlomo, even David wrote to his son Shlomo, and he writes in Divrei Yomim, Da et Elokei Avicha, know the God of your father. What do you mean? Know that your father believed in God, and his father believed in God, and his father believed in God. His here Sheida Shehu Elokei Aviv. Know that this is the God of your father. David is writing to Shlomo, V'chein hu me'aviv dor achar dor. And going back generation prior to generation, or generation after generation, this goes all the way back. If now and then some people, individuals, were able to figure out the foundations and the roots of our faith by themselves, that doesn't work for us. The beginning is really the belief. You can't say I'm going to figure out God based upon my intellectual, abstract kind of thinking. We don't have that ability. It's a different kind of dimension. It's a different kind of experience. What is God? I'm going to believe in God because. You want me to prove that there's a God? I can't prove there's a God. No one can prove it beyond the shadow of a doubt. You can find things that point to it, but intellectually you can't never really get to that unless you're really a super guy like Avraham. And this is the key. If you have the emunah, the belief in God, and you accept that, and you attach yourself to Hashem, then God will open for you pipes or connections of influence in your mind that will be above what the normal thinking is. They saw with the visions of God, some saw like the visions of prophets, like prophets. Some were not prophets, but they got Ruach HaKodesh. Uksatam, and some not even Ruach HaKodesh, but Ruach Chachma. They didn't have Ruach HaKodesh, but they had wisdom, extraordinary wisdom, like Kmo Tanaim V'Amoraim Kedoshei Yonim, that they had, like the Tanaim and Amoraim and the Gemara had this special kind of wisdom. But the actual ability to kind of go through this and work this out and come up on your own is too much for us. How do you really rely upon all this? Based upon our keeping the Kabbalah, the tradition that we follow one generation after another. And that is what? In other words, the whole key to this is if you're going to be successful, what do you have to do? Recognize that keeping the Torah is part of a tradition. That's really where Rav Teichel is going to go with this. He's just supporting this from a statement of the Noda Yehuda. We believe that we have the truth, not because I can intellectually knock you off the table, because you probably can intellectually knock me off the table, but the bottom line, what works for all of us, is because my father kept Judaism, and the Jewish people kept Judaism, and they kept it 100 years ago, and 1,000 years ago, and 2,000 years ago, and so forth, all the way back to Sinai, where they stood and received the Torah. So I'm only as good as the anchoring of tradition, the tradition of the people, whether I'm a Jew by choice or a Jew by tradition, by Jew by choice or a Jew by birth. I'm still part of that people that goes all the way back.
If you're a Jew by choice or a Baal Tshuva, then you don't have it, because my father didn't know Hashem.
But eventually, if you are a Jew if you're a Baal Tshuva, your father's father did. Right? In other words, it's not you, it's not me alone. It's not me, whether I learned from my father or not. It's about the people. Go back to the people.
Right.
So the peoplehood goes back to the people. And if you're a Jew by choice, then you joined into that people. If you're a Baal Tshuva, you're still part of the people.
You're talking about convert? Is that what you're saying?
Well, if you're the Jew by choice, a convert, you're a convert, then you join the people.
Right.
Right? You're called the Ben Avraham. Avraham, like he found his way. But you really join that and the people go back. In other words, what he's trying to say is, even if you intellectually can't figure out Judaism and say that I'm going to go to battle to defend myself because I feel I am morally and intellectually superior in my faith, don't worry about it, because most people can't. The real thing that's going to help you in a difficult moment is this fact that you can go back tradition after tradition, all the way back as a people. We go all back to Sinai. And God helped the Jewish people accept it at Sinai, and God helped Abraham visualize God. So if I can't do it, it's not really that I'm a loser. It's the fact that I'm keeping part of that long chain of tradition. That's what the Rambam is really trying to get at.
So Emunah is not so much a belief as a commitment.
Emunah is a belief, but the belief is that I have the belief that what's been passed down is true. Not that I'm tapping into God on my own. That can work. It does work. It does help me. But ultimately, what's going to help me as well is not just tapping into God, but the fact that the tradition goes all the way back. I'm tapping into a long tradition. That's what he's trying to say. So he's trying to talk about this. What he's really trying to say is that there's an inheritance that's been passed along. So if I join the people as a convert, I tap into that inheritance. If I'm a Baal Tshuva, so it may have slipped a couple of generations, a few generations, but the tradition goes all the way back. The tradition is not broken simply because a personal family member didn't carry the tradition. The tradition is part of a peoplehood. It's not about individual Jews. Okay? And this is what it means, and that is why he says, the Rambam quoted this pasuk from Yeshayahu Nun Daled, Kol kli yotzer alayich lo yitzlach, any weapon, any kli that's a weapon of war that is created against you will not be successful. V'kol lashon tekum mitcha lemishpat hashin, any kind of tongue or language that rises up against you will not be condemned. Zot nachlat avdei Hashem tzidkatam eitinu Hashem. This is the inheritance, the servants of God, and this is going to be the tzedakah, this is going to be the compensation of your righteousness that's appointed by me, says Hashem. In other words, basically, it's about a nachala. He's underscoring the fact that there's nachala. V'anesher hagadol hakotev, the great eagle, the writer, Harambam, Omar, Peirush, Tchilat HaPasuk, Neged HaKamim Lilachem Madad Tzad Bechev V'chanit, those who rise up against us with the sword and the spear, K'monu Nebuchadnezzar Shekim Tzela, the same way that Nebuchadnezzar put up the tzelem, the figure, and this is the Daniel story where his friends didn't want to bow. V'yonas b'zvat Yisrael, and he forced his hand against the Jewish people. And b'chein Haman, and his Haman v'chiyotzi kama shmadim shnigzeru b'kama derot. And the same thing, many persecutions where they physically wanted to wipe us out over many generations. So whether it was done b'kli, which is a weapon of war to kill us, uksat b'vikuach, or whether it was an arguments of philosophic arguments, philosophium, v'hayavonim, like Greek wisdom, and the philosophers of the Greek philosophers who with sophistry wanted to pull us away and weaken us intellectually. V'yamnam elu kalu, all these people have gone away. V'anachnu adveikim Hashem Elokeinu v'torato v'mitzosav nesharu kayomim b'emunatenu. All these people are no longer here. Haman is gone, Persians are gone, Nebuchadnezzar, Babylonians are gone, the Yavanim are gone, the Greeks are gone, the philosophers are gone. All these people have come and gone. And who's here? We're here, because that tradition, our Masorah, our Nachala, has continued all the way back. We are the same people who existed back then. V'yambar Rambam shezek kavanat hanavi kol kli yotzer. This is what the Navi writes when he quotes the pasuk, that all weapons that are created, Eila nechumim b'chol asir chameat rabba kli yotzer shem kli zayin. Those who fight against you, which are weapons of war. V'afal pikein alayich lo yitzlach, will not be successful. Shakadosh Baruch Hu zreino advar koach kvod shmo. God helps us for the honor of His name. Kmo shasal lechananya Mishael v'Azariah v'chavreim. What happened to the friends of Daniel, where God protected them from the fire? Remember the story? What happened? They get thrown in the fire. They won't bow to Nebuchadnezzar. Where's Daniel, by the way, in this story? It's not there. Where's Daniel? We don't know. It might be in Eretz Yisrael. Nobody knows where Daniel is. But the three friends of Daniel are caught, and they refuse to bow. They throw him into the fire, and what happens?
Nothing.
Not just nothing. They look inside, and they said the three of them are there. They're having a good time, and there's a fourth person there as well. And the fourth person in the fire, in the furnace, looks like an angel. So that was the angel that protected them. So whether it's a physical destruction, that's not going to work. Anything that's going to be an argument that's going to try to weaken you intellectually, tarshi, will be condemned. This is the philosophy. The philosophers with their intellectualism is not going to be able to be successful against you. And this is what, who writes this Ad Kan Divrei Hanesh Ragadol Ram. This is what the Rambam is saying. So this is and this is really what he's quoting here. The Amarta.
What's the she?
Tarshi.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Will be condemned, will be made, will be ruined, will be evilized. Okay, so in other words, if they rise up against you with a lashon, with any language, beguiling language, it's going to kumalech mishpat, to kind of judge you. Means they're trying to kind of get you away. Tarshi, that will become bad. It will be bad for them. It'll be ruined. It'll be condemned. Okay. So V'yamarti, and this is still taking quote from the Noda B'Yehuda. V'yamarti say for the Qur'an, and I said I want to add something about the end of the pasuk. Baliten eitza ech lo yo'ilu brov chakikrot v'tanot mezirafot. Why will they not be successful with all kinds of analysis and intellectual arguments? Why will that fail? Amar zot nachalat avdei Hashem. This is the inheritance. Ki amunotenu v'toratenu hamiti, the true belief in our Torah, the true belief in our true Torah. Lo mitzara sechel kibalnum. We don't take it because intellectually, shiavo echad v'yomar shiyoshiv tanot mitkablot al sechel hefech. Because if we do that, someone will come to us with arguments the reverse and beat our arguments, because we're not that clever. What's the real reason that we can be successful? Because nachala me'avotenu hi omotenu, the nachala, the inheritance we have from our ancestors, our forefathers, that is our belief. Our belief is based upon this tradition that is passed along generation after generation. Dor achad dor lemafreya ad dor notena Torah. Generation back to generation before, all the way back to giving a Torah. Ra'u marot elokim kolom yachad. They all heard the voice of God, or saw the voice of God together. V'omlam mashezachu kaman she'Hashem lamod al zeh b'mofet umitzat sechel. And also, but some people, a few people, were able to figure this out with their wisdom, their intellectual wisdom. This is also tzidkot tameiti. This is also a righteousness that was given for me. Shemasayeya habala taher b'rav chasadav, that I help someone who wants to make himself better. I give him chesed. God gives chesed. Shenotin ashpa lechasidav lamala min haseichel, that gives to those who are righteous and those who are chasidim, those who are close to him, something above their intellect. So in other words, this is all the quote of the comment of the Noda B'Yehuda by his son on the Rambam. So this whole thing we started reading today is this long, extensive quote. Ad Kan. So far, so good?
No, so just to understand, he's saying that the proof of our existence is the traditions, is the fact that we exist.
Correct.
But there are some people who Hashem rewards by giving more intellectual
ability, who can argue about the importance of the Torah, the truth of the Torah from an intellectual capacity.
But that's inherently less than.
But that does not. But not everybody has that intellectual prowess.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, what he's saying makes a lot of sense. I mean, a lot of us are attracted to Judaism because there's certain logic and there's certain things that stand out. But if you do that, you run the risk of someone who's going to oppose you is going to say yes, but in this case, it doesn't work. Right? I mean, just one example: Shabbat. Shabbat makes a whole lot of sense, but when you drill down to the very tiny levels of Shabbat, you begin to talk about this is an Av Malacha, there's a Torah level Malacha, there's a rabbinic Malacha. Sometimes you say, why this and why not that? Like why you know why is a I don't know, a chainsaw going to be muktzah? I understand I can't cut down a tree on Shabbat, but why can't I move a chainsaw around, or a buzz saw, or an electric saw? I'm not going to use it. It's not even plugged in, right? It's not. Or I don't have gas in the motor. Why is it muktzah? I can't move it. Well, I may come to use it. I'm not going to come to use it. I need to keep my door open. So you ask questions, and in the sophistry of our asking ourselves these questions, or others asking questions, sometimes can weaken our belief. So the real key, the bottom line, the fallback, the default reason why we are what we are and why we must be what we are is because we have this tradition. And at one point the tradition was people experienced the voice of God and it was very clear to them. Now we don't hear the voice of God that clearly, but we have the nachala, the inheritance, or the morashah. We'll talk about this soon. Okay? So that's really what he said until now. But he's quoted this piece of the Noda B'Yehuda, which underscores Nachala being the real key part of the belief, which is what the Rambam was trying to say. Okay? And now he's going to tell you why it's so important. So everything so far that he likes to say, this is the next paragraph in the Hebrew 152. Hamura midivrei Adonenu Rabbeinu Noda B'Yehuda. What comes out of the words of the Noda B'Yehuda's comments. This is 67 in the middle and 52 in the second new paragraph. Shel moli kibano et Torah mikoach atzmeinu. If we had agreed to accept the Torah based upon our intellectual ability, this is repeating what he says. Ritzoni lomar she'anu b'chakirot sichlenu shechachanu v'darashnu ba ad she'ima sichlenu ima haskamnu l'kabbalah. If we had used our intellect to figure out, and then we said it makes sense for us. If that were the reason, someone could come and argue against the reverse logic. Someone could argue away from us. It's not we didn't acquire it based upon our own intellectuality. It's only a Yerusha from our ancestors that Sharoet Noten Torah B'ayin Murgash. They saw the Torah, the giver of the Torah, giving it with an eye that perceived and understood and valued what they saw. And they heard with their ears that they could sense. It's not clear if that means the real ear or they heard it in here. They understood. They heard it like people hear a person speaking to their neighbor, and they passed it on to us. They gave it to us as an inheritance. So there is no more inability of anyone to argue. This because we got it, not because it's logical and you can prove it's illogical, but because I got it from my ancestors and you can't disprove it because you weren't there. Because the people who lived in the days of the Tanakh are not there anymore. And because I have this tradition that I know goes back to the people, all the way up to Sinai.
With all due respect, I can argue on 2 points. One is that the transmission, if the transmission is 100%,
yes.
Right, maybe in my family they were not so smart going back to Sinai, and they got it wrong. And second, I have not only to buy and commit to the Torah, but I have to buy and commit to the entire interpretation, to Chazal. I have to have Emunat Chachamim,
right,
all through the generations.
True. So once again, the answer I think for both of those is about the tradition. If someone if some people bail out of the tradition, that doesn't mean the tradition didn't happen. The United States is
they didn't bail out. They just misunderstood maybe.
Okay, but you haven't disproved that the tradition didn't happen.
Right, but I have to understand what's the true interpretation.
Okay. What Dan is saying is, how can I prove that the tradition really happened is not false? It's your first point.
Right.
Okay.
You misinterpreted here and there.
But there are two things. One, you said maybe the tradition didn't happen at all. And second of all, I have to accept the traditions of what the interpretation of what the tradition is.
Right.
So the second one I think is easier. If you believe there was a tradition, I'll believe that the interpretations are correct.
Interpretation is very hard. It's all the Gemara and everything. I mean, how we exactly to understand it. All I see is that there is arguments all over the place.
True. But the arguments always come back to the same ideas. No one argues that an esrog is an esrog. No one argues that a mezuzah is a mezuzah. Right? Everybody puts the same mezuzah up on their door. Now, if you open the Gemara, you'll find out that in mezuzah there's a discussion whether we should put it this way or put it that way.
Right.
So we put it like this. It's the way to be Mekayim both shitot. I mean, that's an argument that had a resolution. But people have been putting up the same mezuzah for thousands of years, right? And we have no reason to believe that they didn't put up a mezuzah.
I don't want to throw in a tangent. This is a
I'm
big
just saying,
discussion,
right.
big discussion. But I'm saying the way he presents it is a clear cut thing. Okay, so it's clear.
Well, I think
it's not that clear.
Correct. So you're correct that you can argue on any point. But I think what he's trying to say is the argument about tradition is a stronger argument than an argument on intellectuality. In other words, and the truth is today, here, and I want to say one thing. This is what Dan is saying, and it's not what he's saying. So I'm going to take what you said and kind of twist it.
Please.
I think today a lot more people may be attracted to Judaism on an intellectual level than on a historical level. If you talk about the Baal Tshuva movement, people are attracted to Judaism not so much in what he's writing here that you want to join up because thousands of years ago they did the same thing. I want to join up because in the modern world of today and here and now this makes sense. I want to do Shabbat because I want to build a cocoon from the modern rat race of the world. I want to keep the laws of building a family because they make sense. I want to keep the holidays. I want to keep kosher to show, for whatever reason it is, I want to show that I don't control the animals. The animals, I'm responsible for the environment. So I can only eat some animals. I got to be concerned how I chef the animals. Certain things I got to watch and clean and so forth. So they show me that I'm not just the animal myself. I have certain rules that formalize that I have to be responsible to the animals in the world. Plants as well. I have to make sure there are no bugs in the plants. So I'm a responsible person. So I'm not doing it because they shechted animals 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago. That's the part that's missing maybe in the Em HaBanim. And I think that's what you're reflecting on. In the modern world, this doesn't hold as much water, perhaps as it did in a society where most of the people were considered traditional.
Like I told you the other day, what spoke to me was not the modern intellectual, not the blind, that this is tradition, but the middle ground where is hundreds of Chazal in the Gemara that had no secondary agenda or no interest, that were much smarter than me, and they believed it and they explained.
Well, that's a tradition. Then you're going back to, you're not taking your tradition back to Sinai, you're going back to the tradition of Chazal.
I jump on hundreds of years.
Yes.
To get to that point where I want to be, where there were smart people that really looked at it.
Right, so what you're saying basically is you accept the tradition, but you're kind of looking back to a tradition at an intermediate point.
Right. I look at what I have in writing, in the Gemara.
Okay, fine. So, what I guess what he's saying is probably it's nothing that is foolproof. If you want to be a disbeliever and you want to break away from the faith, you can always do that. But he's just saying in terms of trying to find something that works for everybody, that has a common denominator, faith and tradition, can speak to everybody, even if you're not intellectual. Everybody can believe in a tradition, everybody can accept a tradition, not everybody has the ability to figure out a religion on their own, or to figure out logic behind it. And not always does logic kind of work all the time, because someone can show you sophistry to make it work and make it not work. But you're right, you can say that there are other ways to approach Judaism. Let's go on, okay? So in other words, what he's basically telling us is that if you want to kind of have the fallback, and once again, the Rambam's writing this here, I don't appreciate the community in Yemen is really is undergoing this terrible persecutions. In Anshe Teiman include in their Kaddish, when we talk about Yisrael v'al Rabbanan, v'al Talmidim, the Rabbi's Kaddish, they include the Rambam.
So that portion is from the Rambam?
No, they include the Rambam in the list of. I'll try to find the text. Wow. Based upon the fact that he saved the community. The community was on the brink of falling apart. They had no one to turn to. And he writes them Yiger Teiman and supports them and looks after them. He's not even living in Teiman. So let me make myself a note. What I have to find out. What two things I need to do. One is the Teiman. And what was the other thing I need to look up for you? You want to know about Mishpacha. That's harder. Okay. So now writes now after having been all this from the Yehuda on the Rambam, now comes Rav Teichler. This is the last paragraph from 52 in the bottom of 67. I'm going to explain in the normal ways of the world. Why is a tradition better? He's trying to explain why tradition is better than something that's formal now. A person acquires a field, and he goes through the proper kinyanim. He acquires it with the normal rules of acquiring fields, of real estate transaction. Seeing that he did it through an acquisition, you have to make sure you follow all the real estate rules of transferring real estate. And there's a lot of rules. Even today, you buy real estate, you buy a house or buy a field in Ontario, there's a lot of things that have to be done. It's a whole specialty of real estate law. As a kinyan ketikuna, if you do all the rules, then the kinyan happens. If someone comes along and says that one facet of the acquisition was missing, then it didn't take place. If you find that the actual acquisition process was flawed, then the whole thing falls off. And you can bring proof or witnesses that there was a flaw in the whole process. The whole acquisition falls off. It didn't happen. This only happens with something that happens through a kinyan. That happens, you buy something and you go through the rules that are there. But on something that you got, not by buying, not by acquiring, but you got through an inheritance. It's yours because your parents had it. And this may not work today because there are rules of probate in the province of Ontario. If you don't do probate properly, you can also find yourself in trouble. But I guess in a different societies, if your parents owned it, you own it, right? If you write the will, it makes it easier that it belongs to you. So, no one can really argue about it. There's no thing to stand on to say that one facet or a different facet or condition is missing. No, this was the father, this was the son. If you know the father owned it, the father is dead. Who inherits it? The son. We know it's the son. You know the father owned it because his father owned it. So the father got it from the grandfather owned it, gave it to the father died and they gave it to the son. So what can you even argue about this Yerusha, this inheritance? This is really based upon the rule, the traditions of the world and nature. This is the same thing for the Torah. Not that we acquired it on our own. We developed a new religion, a new faith based upon logic. That someone will come along and show that we made a mistake in our logic. Only it's a Yerusha from our ancestors. That we have a very clear proof from 600,000 that they got it with a clear head, with God in His honor and His Himself, who appeared to them. They passed on tradition after tradition. We pass it to our kids and their kids to their kids. That's the pasuk says in the end of Sefer Dvarim, where it's for us to keep the Torah to us and to our children forever. It's really through Yerusha. No one can argue against it. This is really what the Nod Yehuda is writing, and this is what he's trying to say. So once again, he comes back to kind of repeat this, and now he's to kind of say what he's willing. So a lot of this is repetitive. You'll see some of what he says is he says himself multiple times. And therefore, now that I quoted you guys, Reis Rav Teichdel, this piece from the Nod Yehuda, who was commenting on the Rambam and told you that the key purpose of the faith is really following the tradition. And therefore, my dear brothers, this is top of 53, and on the English it's page 68 in the middle. 68 in the middle. Now, they were my brothers and my friends. Both Tzuru should call Divrei Rabbeinu him klulim b'divrei Rashi b'pasuk. He'll tell you don't even have to go to the Rambam and read a whole long piece and quote a long piece of the Nod Yehuda. I'll even show you a simple parashi in the pasuk which will succinctly write in 3-4 lines exactly what I've been spending 8 pages and pages telling you about, which is Rashi writes in the pasuk in the Az Yashir, in the Song of the Sea. What do we say? Ze Eli v'andeu elheo v'evrom ameno. This is my Keli, my God, and I will beautify him. I will praise him. Elokei avi, the God of my fathers, and I will raise him up. What does Rashi say? Rashi says, B'zeh halashon lo ani tchilat ha'kedusha. It's not for me alone to praise God. Ella muchzeket v'ometad li mimei avotai. So Rashi says there's a double terminology of Moshe and the Jewish people praising God. Praising God, Zekili and Amdehu, and he's also the God of my fathers. Not just me, but because he's my father's God, I'm also going to keep it. Ritzon Olomar Shani Mashani Omer Zekeli Lo Tachshov Shani Miaches Oto Mikov Kinyan Shali. Not because I acquired him. Shekaniti Oto Li Mikov Sichli Atzmi. Not because I acquired him through intellectuality. Elokei Avi, the God of my fathers, Muchzak Miurashli Hu Mimavotav. Because my father, from his father. So my ancestor's God, which goes back in this case, this is before Sinai, goes back of course to Avraham. And this is really what the whole Noda Yehuda is really all writing about. And therefore, because of all this, you now really understand what this is all about, this concept of Morasha. So I've shown you, Hereti L'dat Shekol Kiyum Taratenu B'Yodenu Mikol Sheyirusha Me'avotenu. The whole acquiring Torah is because it's Yerusha. Now you understand why the Torah says Torah tziva lanu morasha, Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha kilat Yaakov. Why Moshe calls it, says God gave to us the Torah, which is a morasha, Yerusha. Ritzon lamar shekilat Yaakov laboy la mikol kinyan atzma shirua b'yad koneh. Not that we got it because a weak kind of kinyan which is going to topple over, but we got it b'Torah Yerusha ba'ata leha. We came to it as an inheritance. V'zeh tokvo shel Torah b'yadenu. This is the strength of the Torah in our hands. V'zeh unyan shel tevat morasha hanemar b'Torah. Lo wrote to show to us, to teach to us al yisodoteh. Lo wrote ba'al yisodoteh chazakim, to teach to us, or to lahorot, probably to teach to us on its foundations that are strong, b'al netzchiotel b'yadenu, on its eternality in our hands. U'kamoshu lashon Ramam sheveit lamala shutba b'natzra neman, which was written properly. U'binyan zeh ino yachol shum mahares laros. You can no knocker, no destroyer can destroy it. V'tamod chazak achazgatal adol me'elmei, will stay strong forever and ever. Anyone who tries to knock at it will be destroyed and nullified from the world. Earlier or late. Like all the destroyed the Torah happened, were destroyed. We will not be destroyed even one drop. At least as a people. And will not be destroyed for eternality. And this is what I want to tell you about the word Morasha for in regards to Teva. Now he's going to take we're going to stop in just a minute here, but now that he's giving to you the first part, which is about Torah's Morasha, what's the next part of this piece that he needs to talk about? So why Eretz Yisrael is Morasha, what does that mean? So as you're going to see, the concept of Israel being a Morasha is also an inheritance. That's a lot easier for you to be able to show. If you accept the tradition of the Torah, right? So it goes back to the Jewish people, all the way back when we were in Israel, and keeps going back all the way back to Avram. The whole purpose of the book of Bereshis is to show the promise made to Avram, to Yitzchak and Yaakov, that the land of Israel is ours. So why don't we
just show that to the Palestinians and get it over with?
Why don't we just, we're sending you, we're giving you a one-way ticket, okay?
Show it to the Jews and Galas.
Show it to us, correct. Yep.
So when he quotes from Chris Yamsov Zeili, that predates. Like, what's the magic
Sinai.
moment? The magic moment is the 600,000. Like, it's not the individual. It's not Yaakov. It's not Abraham.
For us,
it's not the. It's the fact that the
600,000
got it,
and therefore correct, and all the way down. Because before that point, the Jewish people did not accept it.
Right.
They had traditions, they had stories, they had ancestors, but they didn't really have an obligation. So the fact that we took the obligation at Sinai and passed it down, right? In some ways, Purim becomes a renewal of that, Kimu v'Kiblu, right? And when we're part of that tradition, all the way down. So that means that's the reason we're keeping it. This is before Sinai. So what it means to say, this is not the reason to keep the Torah, but just what he's showing is Rashi saying when Moses and the Jewish people are watching the sea split in half and praising God, they said, God, you're great. Not that you're my God only, you're the God of my ancestors. So I accept that you're a great God, because this may not be the first time that you did something great. This may not be the first relationship we have. It goes back to the God of my fathers. And my father's going to say the same thing. His father, and his father, and his father, back to Abraham. So this is just showing that at the moment of supreme acceptance, a supreme visualization of God at the sea, not Sinai yet, at the sea, you would expect all they would say is, God, you're my God, I'm in. They say, no, you're my God because you're my father's God. So the concept of building a tradition is really based upon that. Okay, so in other words, you see that for the Jews at the sea, who are the people we're tracing ourselves back, they're people about to go to Sinai, for them as well, they had a tradition that they were passing back earlier on.
So the tradition that we see as the proof of the validity of Judaism, that goes beyond, like working backwards. Or Sinai
goes back to Abraham.
To the traditions of the people that were at Har Sinai, going back to Abraham.
Right. Or rephrasing it, the peoplehood, the traditions of being a people of God that God communicates with, goes back to Abraham before Sinai. The tradition of accepting the Torah and keeping the Torah and committing to the Torah goes back to Sinai. Right? Regardless of what the Midrashim say about Avram keeping all the mitzvot and the patriarchs doing the mitzvot, those are Midrashim. This is more like feeling like a Jew, that's Genesis, and Shemot, that Sinai forward, is behaving like a Jew.
Okay. So the DNA was there, like in other words, the
connection
the
to God.
predilection to connect to God through our tradition,
right.
But the actual
commitment, the sign-up sheet.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
The oath of citizenship. Right? We are citizens, but the oath, the commitment to uphold the swearing-in ceremony, right, takes place at Sinai.
Does his logic for Eretz Yisrael go back the same way?
Same way.
Okay.
In fact, it's probably even clearer.
Okay.
What he's going to tweak in with Eretz Yisrael, and we're going to leave it for next week, is of course that Eretz Yisrael is a special relationship with God. Same way the Jewish people have a special relationship with God, so and they kept his mitzvot, and we keep his mitzvot going back. So that God has a special relationship with Israel that's different than all the other countries. God runs the entire world. You can't say God made the world, God created the world. So how is it that Israel is special? So he's going to talk about the uniqueness of Israel. But once again, you got two traditions, Morasha. And that's how we opened up this whole pticha. He opened up with the words by saying there are two psukim. Remember this? You don't remember this? It's page number 48. One pasuk was Torah Tzivalana Moshe, and the other one about Eretz Yisrael was Shmenatati Oto Lachem Morashani Hashem. That's in Shemot Perek Vav. Okay, that's the beginning. I think it may be the burning bush, or right before the burning bush, or right after. Okay?
Right.
Stop it here.
And